boys and girls, welcome to your second week of problem solving videos. And we're still going to remember that life is a word problem. So we're always looking to solve problems in our life. And in math, it's filled with word problems. Remember, we are going to use the acronym of a BUCK to remember how to break down a word problem. We are going to box the question, underline the information needed, circle the vocabulary, and knock out any unneeded information. When we use the BUCK system, it is going to help us to simplify, organize, and solve problems easily. Okay, here is our first problem. Miss Drake is making 14 Christmas aprons to give as gifts. She had 4 different fabrics and used 13 yards of each one. She also used 19 yards of ribbon. How many yards of supplies did Miss Drake use to make the aprons? Okay, after we read the problem, okay, we always want to read first, we are going to do what? That's right, we're going to box the question. Okay, so our question was, how many yards of supplies did Miss Drake use to make the aprons? So I'm looking to find the number of yards of supplies that Miss Drake used on the aprons. Our second step, underline information needed. Okay, so I need to know that she has 4 different fabrics and there's 13 of each one, and she also had 19 yards of ribbon. Next, circle that vocabulary. She had 13 yards of each fabric and there were 4 different fabrics. Knock out any unneeded info. I do not need to know how many aprons she's making, okay, because that is unnecessary information in my problem. So now I get to solve the problem. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 4 different fabrics. Okay, right there are my 4 different fabrics, and I know it's underlined. There are 13 yards of each one. So I've labeled 13, 13, 13, 13. And I also drew a picture of the 19 yards of ribbon. Okay, so now I need to know how many yards is that all together. Well, the first step, I need to find out how much fabric I've used. So I'm going to say 13 times 4. And I'm going to start in my ones place. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So I have 52 yards of fabric. Now what do I have to do with that 52 is I have to add my 19 yards of ribbon, and I have to add that together and find out my total yards of supplies. 9 plus 2 is 11. 5 plus 1 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. So how many yards of supplies did Miss Drake use? I used 71 yards of supplies to make the Christmas aprons. 71 yards is my total. Okay, get your homework sheet and go ahead and solve problem number 1 on that recording sheet because it's very similar to the problem you just solved. When you're done, go ahead and finish watching the rest of the video. Okay, our second problem, boys and girls. Tyler was getting ready for a science experiment. He had 7 cups that had 16 ounces of oil in each cup. He had to put all of the oil in 4 beakers. How much oil was in each of the beakers? So after I read my problem, my first step is to box the question. How much oil was in each of the beakers? Then let's underline our information needed. 7 cups, 16 ounces of oil was in each cup, and he had to put the oil in 4 beakers. So I'm going to circle my important information. There were 16 ounces in each cup. Okay, in that problem, I don't need to knock out any information. There's nothing extra in this problem. Okay, so my next step is I'm going to draw a picture. Here are my 7 cups, and there's 16 ounces in each cup. So I've got to find out how much is that. So I'm going to multiply 16, 16 times 4. So 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So I found out that I have 64 ounces of oil in my cups. But then I have to remember he put all of that oil in 4 beakers. So I'm going to take all my oil and split it up into different groups. That means I'm going to divide. So how many times will 4 go into 6? One time. 1 times 4 is 4. Then I've got to subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. Bring down. So now I've made the number 24. 4 will go into 24 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. Subtract. 24 minus 24 is 0. So how much oil was in each of the beakers? There were 16. Ooh, that was a bad 6. 16 ounces in each beaker. 16 ounces in each beaker. Okay, go ahead and push pause and solve problem number 2 on your recording sheet. And when you get done, go ahead and hit play. Problem number 3. In the 6 days, Julia made 73 rubber band bracelets. She shared them with herself and 4 friends. If each friend got the same number of bracelets, how many bracelets were left over? So after I read, I need to look at my steps and use the BUCK acronym to help me solve the problem. The first step, box that question. How many bracelets were left over? Underline our information. There were 73 rubber bands, and she was sharing with herself and 4 friends. So if she's sharing with herself and 4 friends, that means there are actually 5 people. Okay, now let's circle that each child got the same number of bracelets. And boys and girls, there's no extra information that, oh, I think there is. Do you see it? I need to knock out my information. Okay, my question says how many bracelets were left over. I don't need to know how many days it took Julia to make the bracelets. So that is extra information. Okay, so now I know that I've got my rubber bands and my rubber band bracelets, and I'm sharing them. So that means I am dividing. Equal groups take apart. So I've got to divide 73 divided by 5. 5 will go into 7 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2. Bring down. So now I've made 23. 5 will go into 23 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Subtract. Okay, so I have 14 remainder 3 as my quotient, but I need to go back and read my question. How many bracelets were left over? If each child got the same number, each child would get 14. So how many bracelets were left over? That's right, there were 3 bracelets left over. There we go, 3 bracelets left over. Okay, boys and girls, go ahead and solve number 3 on your recording sheet. And when you get done, hit play and come back. Okay, you've been working hard, so here's a brain break. What wears a jacket but no pants? What wears a jacket but no pants? And the answer is a book. Wears a jacket, a book jacket. But a book doesn't wear pants. Okay, boys and girls, you can go ahead and solve the rest of the problems on your recording sheet. And remember to use that BUCK system. I want to see those boxes and underlines and circles. And if there's extra information, go ahead and knock it out. Have a great week, and remember to get your paper turned in on Friday.